So I'm Martin Carcasson. I'm an associate professor of communication studies at Colorado State University. And about 7 years ago, I started the CSU Center for Public Deliberation, which serves as an impartial resource for the Northern Colorado community. What I do is I train students, primarily undergraduates, to be impartial facilitators and process experts. And then we run projects in the community for the city, school board, community organizations, and such, basically to increase capacity for us to be able to have the kind of conversations I believe democracy requires. A lot of our events, 100 people can show up, and instead of just one at a time at the microphone with the capacity of the students, I can have them all seated at individual tables of 8 or so with a trained student at every single table. So you can really have the interaction. So democracy isn't just the individual collection of opinions and people just expressing themselves, but democracy is what it needs to be, which is people talking to each other and learning from each other and refining their opinion and constantly trying to find that balance between their interests and the interests of others. And the students really give us the capacity to be able to do that. I think that's probably one of the biggest stories of the center. Is when I started it, the idea was really to do some neat things with students and to do some of the things that we were doing in the classrooms and taking out the community. So we thought that we would pick topics and we would develop some material and try to convince people to show up and then run these events. But right when we started, we would run an event and then people would come up to us afterwards and say, hey, could you run this for us? So really the last 6 years, we haven't run a single event that was our own. Every single event has been an organization coming to us, asking us to do something, which is really up the ante, because we thought we were just going to run some educational events and just have some interesting conversations. But a lot of the events that we have real implications, because there's decision makers like a school board or a city council that's making a decision influenced by that information, or there's community organizations that are going to change the way they act or things like that. So it's really been clear that there was a void in the community, and kind of unknowingly, we really kind of helped fill that void with what we're doing. We've been working on a project called the Silver Tsunami about the aging population, and in Larimer County, about in the next 20 years, the population over 65 is going to increase by about 140%. So we convene the community, more of an appreciative inquiry process. What kind of community do we want to create? We're already a really good community for retirees, but we want to keep that. So what do we need to change? And really across public, private, and nonprofit, all our things is more of, it's not just a policy change or government solution, it's how we as a community come together. And one thing that came out of that process just a couple of weeks ago is the local hospital working with a local care facility that has a lot of buses. So they're now going to start a bus route between all the local hospitals that wasn't there before. So creating a new kind of transportation thing, because they realize that the aging community transportation is more and more difficult. So that was something that conversation started in one of our projects and then has come to fruition already in the community. As I started developing the center from a communication perspective, again, looking at what communities need, we really realized that we needed to change the conversation, and we needed to have these small group conversations. We needed the capacity to be able to create the interaction in the conversation that we don't get naturally in a lot of our public meetings or all the other different kind of ways people can engage in their community. So the phrase I use for that is communities need passion and partiality. They need people that are really excited and really passionate about solving problems in their community, but haven't taken a position. And the problem is passion and partiality is an oxymoron. It's not a natural occurrence thing. There's not that many people that are really fired up about not having an opinion. But I was able to find a great resource of passion and partiality in the community by tapping into my students. So the students at Colorado State University, not only did it buy me the time, because I'm a teacher, so by bringing in the students, it allowed me to do the work I wanted to do, but they're a wonderful resource for passion and partiality, because they're very bright, they're very passionate about the community, about democracy, and about solving problems, but at least on city issues, they haven't taken positions. They can walk into a room and people aren't going to recognize them as someone who's already taken a position on that or is at city council. So it's for me to be able to show up with 30 trained facilitators using the students through a class gives my community a civic infrastructure, a capacity that many communities don't have. So for the rest of this, what I'd like to do is kind of pass it on to my students and let them talk a little bit about what they're getting out of the program, what brought them into the program, things like that. So I don't know who would like to start.
My name's Candace Carlin, and I'm a student associate with the Center for Public Deliberation. And I joined the center because I realized in my own life and in my own campus experience that we need a different type of talk. We need a different type of interaction with democracy. And I've facilitated a number of different forums and conversations and really seen a difference in the community. And I'm really proud to be involved with it and look forward to where the field goes in the future.
My name is Casey Bull. I am a senior at Colorado State University, communication studies major with political science and history minors. And similar to Candace, I joined because I was dissatisfied with the impact that I was having on my community. And so I felt like this gave me an outlet, and I really have found that in public deliberation I'm able to have the influence that I want to over the surroundings that I'm in.
Hi, I'm Jack Becker. I'm actually a past student of Martine's. I was with him for 3 years at the Center for Public Deliberation. I started probably more for shallow reasons. I like talking with people. I wanted to get out in the community. Wasn't really finding the engagement that I wanted on campus, and found that there was a lot of deeper reasons and great reasons, which led me to this job at the Kettering Foundation after I graduated. In the Kettering Foundation, we like to say we work with civic innovators who are working to build democracy from the ground up. And so I got lots of skills in working with the Center for Public Deliberation that I've utilized now with the Kettering Foundation.
Hi, my name is Karina Mullen. I'm a graduate student at Colorado State University in environmental communication, focusing on how to engage people with climate change in artistic ways. And a colleague of mine was part of the Center for Public Deliberation, and I had been fascinated with facilitation and saw the impact that she was having on an important water issue in our community. And I think that environmental conflict is an area where there's a lot of folks talking past each other. So learning some more skills and learning how to get involved and get the right people to the conversations, and meeting some other incredible young folks in the community to form a network that can change the world. So thanks to the CPD.
Hello, my name is Dylan Sutliff, and I'm a senior at Colorado State University, a double major in economics and communication studies. And I originally joined the Center for Public Deliberation just because I was referred to it, and I've come to love it. I've been with it 3 semesters now, and I've learned that basically conversations need to have everybody's perspective and many different types of voices in it, and I feel like I've really learned that through the center.
Hi, my name is Mar Parsai, and I'm a graduate student at Colorado State University. I got my bachelor's degree in communication studies and political science. I'm currently working with Martine on my thesis to study deliberative theories and deliberative techniques and to see where that can take me in the future. And I joined for similar reasons as my fellow CPDers over here, because I wanted to find some way to make an impact in the community, and I couldn't find that through the political science department. And I was told by one of the associates that there was this program, and I applied and got in, and it's become a very big passion of mine, and I owe a lot to Martine, so thanks for that.
We've talked a lot about the potential in students, and I think that's great. We do have a huge resource to build on, but I think we've also had a very successful community outreach where we've taught community members how to facilitate, and that has been very successful and influential in us reaching a broader audience and taking it more places.
As a student working with Martine and working in the community, I think students have, and specifically intergenerational dialogue and engagement, can really depolarize very tough issues. And besides all the times that we practiced and anticipated a really heated debate and not being able to get much done, it really hardly ever happens. And I think part of it was people coming in, seeing students, being really excited about that, and then just kind of getting excited about the conversation and about the process and being really supportive. So I think when people extend the invitation to join, and then also when you meet people where they're at, being students meeting the community in the community and not expecting everything to come to them on campus, it can have just a really positive effect in communities, regions, and I see a pretty hopeful future for democracy in America.
If more people, especially in universities, do the work that we're doing, they'll find how truly easy it is to impact your communities politically. So if there was like some sort of CPD fire that we could spread throughout, the U.S. and to other universities around the world, I think that would make a huge impact, because we're the people that are going to change our future. And the best way to do that is to show people truly how easy it is to get engaged and to make a difference. We drank the Kool-Aid.
Obviously, it goes both ways. older generations have a wealth of knowledge, and they have so much of that they can share with us. If we can somehow find a way for them to effectively communicate their messages and for us to retain those, we can skip a lot of steps of learning if we could learn from them.
Oftentimes, adults seem to think that these big issues are completely intractable, and they don't see much hope in working through them. But in my personal experience, when I've brought home my studies and my learning from the CPD home, when I've spoken to my parents, my grandparents, I have great-grandparents living, and when I discuss this work with them, I see legitimate hope in them. I see inspiration for a different way of approaching democracy, and that gives me at least a sense that we can approach an older audience, that this isn't just a movement that the youth need to get on board with. It's for the broader citizenry.
I think one of the most important things we can get from older generations is a passion, because I know from my own personal experience, I come from a family that has always been very politically active, and though the political climate has changed where we can't necessarily protest the way they used to back in the day, or engage politically in the same way that they did. They had such a passion for it, and they were so excited to go out there and speak out about the issues that they cared for and the things that were really important to them. And I find that inspiring, and I would like to get to a point in my life where I can as avidly and as passionately pursue the things that are important to me. I think that passion and that lust for change is really important, and something that we can take from the older generation.
I mean, the community has responded to it much better than I ever imagined, in a sense. And kind of going back to one of the things Jack said is we've always prepared for people to not be able to do this. You know, like deliberating and working through these hard issues with people from different perspectives is going to be so foreign, it's going to be so hard. But we found when you give people a good situation and you give them a good process and you give them good information, they're able not only to kind of do it, but then realize very quickly how much better it is than the other thing, especially at the local level. I think once people get a taste for how democracy can work well, they're going to start demanding it at higher and higher levels.